Welcome, everyone, to my September 9th, 2025 webinar on Am I Healing or Hiding? This topic was suggested to me by a poem that I heard on Instagram by Whitney Hanson. And poet Whitney Hanson expressed her trying to make herself face her demons in a poem that opens, "In English we say, you're not hiding, you're not healing, you're hiding. In poetry, we say, I dare you. I dare you to stop doing that thing that numbs the pain." I should point out that Whitney often writes in that opening style. In English, we say, and then she'll have a sentence in plain English, simple English, and then she'll say, in poetry, we say, and then there'll be something that comes in a more poetic language or rich language. And it's really quite charming, and I like her work very much. So I'm going to start by reading the poem. I think that's a good place to start. And then we'll go over the points that she makes in the poem. And again, the poem is written in the second person, I think you say, you. But when you hear the whole thing, you kind of get the sense that she's talking to herself. Don't we all? So Whitney Hanson poetry. Hanson is spelled in the usual way, Hanson, and I believe it's whitneyhansonpoetry.com. I think that's her website. So here's the poem. In English, we say, you're not healing, you're hiding. In poetry, we say, I dare you. I dare you to stop that thing that numbs the pain. It's not mending anything inside you. It's just preoccupying your brain. I dare you to set all the distractions to the side. Pain is not an enemy. It's a clear and certain sign. It's a signal to your soul that something's misaligned. I dare you not to turn away when your system's overwhelmed. I dare you to sit with your uneasiness until your heart can hear itself. I dare you to speak to your discomfort. Learn its story, learn its name. Distractions keep you still, but it's time to rearrange. You think it's painful to move. It will kill you if you stay. So keep pretending if you like. Keep your eyes turned away. But know this for certain. It's your life that you will pay. I personally think the last line is supposed to be, it's with your life that you will pay. Whitney challenges herself. Indeed, she challenges all of us to open and honestly face the suffering within us. Everyone, to some degree, hides from reality and continues to suffer needlessly. So, what sort of things do we do to numb the pain? Before I actually make a list of those things, I think I should say we have a great deal of fear, and the fear is that we're going to suffer the pain. And so, what we're doing is doing things that numb the pain, that keep it away. So, what do we do to numb the pain, to keep it away? Well, the first thing, or the thing I think is one of the most common, is procrastinating. We find other things to do and put off doing things that are going to challenge us and possibly put us in touch with the pain that's within us. Watching or listening to things unrelated to our situation, especially social media. I know that I can easily get involved with Instagram and YouTube, just checking over what they present, just random stuff. It's enjoyable, it's fun, and it keeps me from attending to what really needs attention. Other things we can do are playing video games or other kinds of games, putting together jigsaw puzzles, consuming recreational chemicals, getting high. That's a very common way of dealing with pain, of avoiding it, putting on, changing our state of mind, changing our state of consciousness so that we don't feel the pain. Now, Whitney puts in a very interesting word of wisdom. Pain is not an enemy. Pain is not an enemy. I'm going to say it one more time. Pain is not an enemy. She calls it a clear and certain sign, a signal to your soul that something's misaligned. It's very true. The pain is helping us recognize that something's wrong, something's misaligned, that there's an inner conflict, a tangle, as we often call it. I often call it an energy tangle, where we have conflicting ideas, conflicting thoughts, conflicting rules in our head. And it makes a great big tangle. And oftentimes we don't even know where to start with it. So, what to do about that? She says, sit with your uneasiness until your heart can hear itself. Heart in this case means innermost self, presence, our transcendental being, our innermost self that witnesses that experience. So if we can get to that state of witnessing by just putting attention on from that point of view of something inside me feels, and then we name it. She says, speak to your discomfort, learn its story, learn its name. Handy thing to do is to start by finding where it's located. And you can even put a hand wherever it is, on the heart, in the abdomen, in the head, wherever you feel it. Putting the hand helps you to move the attention there and to look at the thing that's there as a part of you, not the wholeness of yourself. It's a way of helping to transform from a awareness that is completely overshadowed by experience, overshadowed by the pain, overshadowed by the discomfort that's inside, and find a place where you can just be a witness to it, to look at it. And from that point of just looking at it, to be able to have and to be able to engage in a dialogue with it. She says, speak to your discomfort, learn its story, learn its name. It may have a name or it may have a descriptor. When it says learn its story, you got to be a little bit careful there because we don't want to get caught up in the story of our suffering because we do that all the time. We ruminate on, oh, poor me, this, that, the other thing. And we often blame and complain and indict others, for accuse others for causing our problem, or just blame God for creating those circumstances that are creating that pain. So we don't want to get caught up in the story. We want to just identify what that problem is exactly, what that part is within us. That's something inside us that feels unhappy in some way. Find where it's located in our body. Now, Whitney ends the poem with a kind of warning, and it's pretty strongly worded. Not completely happy with it, but it's not untrue. She says, if you don't look to your pain, it will kill you. That's pretty heavy thinking. But the process is that if we don't deal with those things inside of us, those conflicts within us, those tangles within us, those energy tangles within us, if we don't deal with them, they will eventually manifest either psychologically or physiologically. They will produce problems. And if we continue and continue and continue not to attend to them, it may eventually produce something fatal. That is possible and not rare, and not rare. And I have seen people take to their grave their conflicts, their turmoil. They just couldn't deal with it. And as a healer, I have to just accept that sometimes people are just so stuck where they are that they're not going to get better. They're not going to change. They're not going to deal with their pain. So that's the essence of the whole thing. If you don't look at your pain, it's going to cause problems, and they can be serious. Let me read the poem one more time to wrap up this beautiful um, idea that we have here. She says, this is Whitney Hanson. In English, we say, you're not healing, you're hiding. In poetry, we say, I dare you. I dare you to stop doing that thing that numbs the pain. It's not amending anything. It's not mending anything inside you. It's just preoccupying your brain. I dare you to set all the distractions to the side. Pain is not an enemy. It's a clear and certain sign. It's a signal to your soul that something's misaligned. I dare you not to turn away when your system's overwhelmed. I dare you to sit with your uneasiness until your heart can hear itself. I dare you to speak to your discomfort, learn its story, learn its name. Distractions keep you still, but it's time to rearrange. You think it's painful to move. It will kill you if you stay. So keep pretending if you like. Keep your eyes turned away. But know this for certain. It's your life that you will pay. Wow. I'm so impressed that she caught the essence of the work that I do, whether that be the pure energy work or the energy work with the focusing, the interrelationship focusing, looking at those parts and saying, something inside me feels, and identifying the different parts. There can be many energy tangles involve 3, 4, even 5 different parts. I've seen more. It can be very, very complicated. And sometimes it helps to write out your description of what you find inside, because then you can go back and see the different voices of the different parts that are in there, often all mixed up in one, either in one sentence or one paragraph. Many different voices will emerge. Well, maybe not many, but at least a good number of voices will emerge. It's rarely just two. It's almost always at least 3, and oftentimes more. But this approach of recognizing what's inside is exquisitely not only powerful, but it's so benign. It doesn't hurt. Something inside me feels it creates a space that allows us to see, really look at what it is that's hurting us. And it creates space for that to expand and relax and dissipate. Space between the self and its experience. The difference between the self, which is non moving, silent witness, non judgmental, and everything that's going on. Now, when we sit with it, and it's very valuable when we're going to do this to sit still, usually best to close the eyes. I always start, you know this from previous webinars you've attended with me and working with me. I always start with a couple of slow, deep breaths to settle down. A couple of 3. It's usually all it takes to get settled down. And then just that phrase, something inside me feels, and I'm here with it. I, the self, the witness, the presence, being, am here with whatever it is that's bothering me. And then the components may start to emerge. If nothing happens after a little while, you can ask, well, first thing I would do is reassure it that you are there to be with it. Because one of the reasons it's still there is that it has been ignored. It has been forgotten. It's been hidden. And so it feels like it's not safe to come forward. And so sometimes their parts are very reluctant to reveal themselves. And I've had many people say to me, I go inside and there's nothing. There's nothing. I can't feel a thing. That is not an unusual experience. So you can objectify that. Something inside me feels nothing. And then maybe you get that sense, oh, it's hollow, or it's hiding, or it's covered, or it's just plain frightened, or it feels unworthy and unimportant. I'm slowing down so that those things can be felt as you're sitting there. And we say hello to it. We greet it. We let it know that we're curious about it and that we're not going to judge it. And this is really important because almost always when we're about to feel pain, we judge. We don't like that. We don't like that pain and we push it away. And so it's expecting that. It's expecting you to judge it and put it away. Judge it as undesirable, unpleasant, not wanted. And so when we sit with it and we greet it and we let it know that we're curious about it and that we're not going to judge it, then there's an opportunity for that part to begin to express itself. And usually it comes out a little bit at a time, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And we get a better sense of that. And we try to say very supportive things like, oh, I see how you feel. Or maybe, of course you feel that way. It was a very painful experience, or traumatic, or difficult, or challenging, frightening. So we can say things like that to it and try to be just supportive and present. And sometimes you'll get a sense of, oh, it's sitting there, literally sitting. You may see it, you may not see it. And you get a sense of, oh, I'll just put my arm around it. I'll sit beside it and put my arm around it. And you sense, is it comfortable with that? You can even ask, would you like me to put my arm around you? So you can kind of imagine that. Now, some people do a thing that I absolutely love when it happens. And they have very creative minds and they'll do what I call symbolic processing. They'll make up a fantasy about the thing that's inside them, the part that's inside them. And they'll start telling a story about it. And it's really important not to analyze it. We don't play psychology with it. It's just there. It's just a story. This happens, and then this happens, and then it changes like this, and then this happens, and then something else changes. Many times people will see themselves as children, or they may not realize it's themselves, and it may just be there's a child, and she's wearing such and such, or he's wearing such and such, and they tell a story about it. And into the telling of the story, they're untangling the conflicting feelings, and it begins to unravel. And it's very important that you just be very neutral about that experience. You don't ask questions about it of yourself. You just say, oh, I see that. I see that. It's doing this. It's doing that. You give it some feedback by just what you observe, only what you observe, no judgment at all. It's growing bigger. It's growing smaller. It's moving further away. It's coming closer. Just literal descriptions like that may come up in the story. I've had some clients who were literally superior storytellers. It's not the story of their suffering, it's the story of the process of releasing the tangled energy and letting it go, letting it dissipate. And what happens afterwards is people feel better. They feel lighter. They feel clearer. They're less anxious. They feel like they can solve their problems. They can deal with whatever is coming up that they need to deal with. The fear is gone or greatly reduced, at least initially, depending on how complicated the problem is. If it's a very complicated problem, some things linger. And that's okay. And sometimes we have to come back to them. That's quite all right. So very, very beautiful process. Very simple process. But again, I can do all of this with pure energy work without any dialogue. And I think that'll be the subject of the webinar next month, adventures in energy healing. Um, because some of the adventures are more on the level of the focusing style, but a lot of them are just pure energy work. And I'll probably focus on two kinds. One are people in Ayurveda, we say they have a vata imbalance. Their tendency to think a lot, to overthink, they worry, they have digestive upset, they may have constipation or diarrhea, they may have abdominal pain, they may have some respiratory symptoms. Um, so these kinds of things show up um, in the course of working with people. Um, and a lot of times then I just work in silence, and I may do past life work and other stuff. And I may mention that I was working with something from a past life. I almost never tell people what it is because if I do so, excuse me, if I do so, they tend to make it part of their story. And we don't want them to get caught up in the story because that rumination on something, as I said, is one of the ways that we um, do things to numb the pain. It's just, we just kind of think about, think about, think about, think about. Okay. Um, I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to say tonight. And it's not been too long. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat. Uh, love to see your questions or comments. I'll give you a moment to write out something. The next webinar will probably be the second Tuesday in October. Sorry, I didn't look up when that was going to be. I can do that. It looks like it's going to be the 14th. So it'll be October 14th. And that'll be Adventures in Energy Healing. So I talked about some of the people that have a lot of what we call vata in their body, a lot of agitation, movement, um, worry, to difficulty sleeping, all those kind of things. And then I'll talk about energy healing with some concrete problems, some very specific things. I've been working with somebody who had a stroke about 6 months ago, and they are continuing to make remarkable progress. They were very, very, very severely affected, and there was a serious question about whether they were even going to survive. And I was able to get to work on them fairly early in the process, and they are continuing to make progress. We all wish it was quicker, but they're doing pretty well. So I'll talk about how I go about doing that, how I do that work, what my experience is. So that's the plan for um, the October webinar. I've already forgotten what day I said it was. That's not cool. That'll be the 14th. Okay, second Tuesday of October. Okay, oh, we have comments in the chat. Pardon me. I pushed the wrong button. Um, the comments are all that it's October 14th. Thank you all for checking your calendars. We are now absolutely certain it's going to be October 14th. And we have a topic which pleases me greatly because as I was coming in tonight, I was going like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And then I was sitting here before the webinar and it kind of came to me. Okay, so we will end the recording here and then resume with the group clearing program.